If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. Now, you're with us tonight to do our finale episode of the Great Hunt live adaptation, and we'll introduce that and our guests here just shortly, but I want to remind everybody of the upcoming shows that we have over the next couple of weeks. So first, next Wednesday, we're going to do a little how-to adapt the Wheel of Time here, talking with Christy Lucier. She's a professional writer, filmmaker. She's part of Team Moraine, and she's also a friend of mine and Watt fan. It's going to be a lot of fun actually hearing this thing that we're doing today, but how the professionals look at it. Then we're going to follow that up with an episode all about sex. Yes, that's right, sex and the Wheel of Time when it comes to the TV series. What should or should we not see? Lesbian Nerdy Ebony from DragonMouth.com and Nablus are going to be my guests. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the following Wednesday, we're going to have Sarah Nakamura, the Wheel of Time TV consultant, Daniel Green, and we're going to be talking Wheel of Time. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. And then to end off the month, we're going to go back to Robert Jordan's notes with Therese and Linda. Hopefully you saw episode 1. If you didn't, go check it out and be ready for episode 2. That's going to be a lot of fun. So those were all the announcements we want to get through, although there is one more. Next Thursday, I should say this Thursday, in the morning, we're going to be pushing out our next episode of Barside Chats. We're digging into, all about platonic relationships, best bromance, cismance, whatever you want to call them. That's going to be fun. Make sure you download that podcast episode tomorrow morning. Okay, that's it, everybody. Let's get to the show. Let me introduce my guests this evening. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel, Todd, Mary, Natalia, and our special guest, Recappa Sedai. How are you all doing?
Hi.
Is everybody
I'm
unmuted?
excited.
There you go. Yeah, right?
Better
Welcome.
now.
Better now. Yeah, I can see everyone's drinking. Recappa has inspired us all.
Nice.
I think you guys are drinking
Bad
much
influence.
better than I am. I'm stuck with some water. So,
Me too, Matt. It's
I
okay.
know.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. But so hopefully you'll all drink for me. Those of you that are watching us on YouTube and Twitter, always feel free to jump over on YouTube, here, live chat with us. Then I can see your comments. I'd love to have you hear from those from Facebook and Twitter. So, Recappa, before we get started with all the news, I want to give you a chance to just tell our viewers all about your show. Give us a quick summary of what is Recappa Sedai's show.
Thank you so much. Sure. So I'm Recappa Sedai. Hi, everyone. I host Wheel Talk on YouTube. Wheel Talk is a Wheel of Time comedy show. I do chapter summaries, which are non-spoiler, and we have a lot of fun with those. And then I do spoiler deep dives. The show is it's a ton of fun. If you love the Wheel of Time, we have a blast. It's for first-time readers, long-time fans. Get on board. We have so much fun on Wheel Talk. I love it. I have so much fun with these videos.
Yeah, they're amazing. We love having you here with us. Can't wait to see what your
Thanks for
opinions
having
are.
me.
Oh, absolutely. And definitely make sure you go I think the link to Recappa's YouTube channel is in the description. Make sure you go follow Recappa after this for sure. Again, it's a great show for both new readers and those of us, I guess, old readers. You know who you are. I see a lot of you in chat.
Old readers.
The old readers, yes. Before we get into live adaptation, though, we had some news come out today. Wadon Prime's been pretty good about this, diligently confirming news we have already had through maybe leaked sources and giving us a little here and there. So let's review what we found out today. So we had Pasha Bakari, Jennifer Preston, and Azuka Hoyle announced. Pasha, some thought was going to play as Shamael, is playing Master Grinwell. Then Jennifer Preston was officially announced as playing Mistress Grinwell, which had been leaked by a site called Redanian Intelligence just a week or two ago. And they had also mentioned a character named Dana, played by Azuka Hoyle, which we thought was a code name. But today, Wadon Prime announced this character's name as Dana. So before we get into the live adaptation, I want to jump through some theories at people. And those of you that are watching us in chat, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what your theories are. Let's cover these. We won't stay too long on them, but I want to cover what everyone online was saying today. The first theory, which I think was the most fascinating, I had never considered it, that the first one here would be Dana as Dane Bornhold. The idea being that maybe they'll introduce female White Cloaks, and this could be the daughter of Geoffrey Bornhold. And that Dana is just, right, a take on the name Dane. And what do you think about this, Recappa? Do you think they're going to go and change, give us this kind of tweak and make White Cloaks also female, and then we'll actually get Dana as Dane Bornhold?
I mean, I had not thought of that, but I like it. I mean, why not? It is this thing with the White Cloaks that they're all men, and it's kind of not really explored that much. So I think it would be interesting to have female White Cloaks. I don't see why not. But also, I don't think she's a White Cloak. I just don't think. I think if we were going to have a female White Cloak, it would probably not be. I feel like the way they announced her, I think she's a character that we know. That's just my guess. But I think it's a fun theory. It's fun.
Yeah, so Wadon Prime said, on the road to Camelin, and then they gave us these three characters. So that kind of clued people in as far as, at least the speculation is that it relates somehow to the road to Camelin. So I feel like that could still fit, but we had a second theory that came in all about this. And Taylor, if you want to give us that one here shortly. The second theory was Else Grinwell, I think was our second one here. That seems to be a really common one. This idea that it is Else Grinwell. They gave us the whole family.
Elsie.
Else is how you. It's Else is the pronunciation, but a lot of us like to say Elsie. It is, yeah.
I say Elsa.
By the way, don't believe me actually, because if you've watched the show,
we'll put
my
you in charge of pronunciation.
Whoever was drinking more than we are.
Yeah, guys, drink.
Yeah. So, Mary, what do you think about this idea that this is just the entire Grinwell family that we're seeing announced?
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it? Why is that?
We've had mixed announcements of mixed cast characters before, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it's not Elsie Grinwell. And I don't know, she just looks too awesome to be just this throwaway wannabe character that I know. I want her.
She's so pretty.
Isn't she? Oh my God.
Yeah, Joe
somebody
well, and she seems a bit older than what I would imagine Elsie would be. And Joe points this out. Why not give us her last name if she is a Grinwell? And I agree. That's kind of a weird thing to hold off, right?
She's hanging out with Steve.
If you're gonna hide, if what they're doing is trying to mask these big announcements, why would you hide Elsa, right. Elsie, whatever her name is? Why would you choose that one? Because it's just gonna be a bummer for people when they find out.
Yeah.
So I think she's more of a Lanfear. But
so we're getting there. Let's see our third theory here. All about her would be Millie Skane. Well, it was an interesting idea, like the idea of merging kind of all the Dark Friends that Rand and Matt run into, and basically just merge them all and give her a new name. And so it's not just the one, but make her a Dark Friend on their travels. What do you think about that, Todd? Do you like this idea that Dana might just be kind of a group of basically merging a bunch of Dark Friend characters?
I guess that could be a possibility. I know who I would like to see her be, but just don't. I don't know. I think if they're going to go all out and they're going all the way down to the Grinwells, then they're going to have more than one dark friend on the way to Camelin.
Yeah, well, it is a fascinating point. We're getting the Grinwells, which sounds a lot like the Griswolds, and will always sound like the Griswolds to me. So yeah, I like the idea that she could be dark friends, because it's, again, a single name makes sense in this situation, not telling us who she is. Why would you go around telling us she's Millie Skane? I don't know. Hiding the dark friends a bit might be kind of fun. But so Taylor, give us the next theory here. The fourth theory we have is this one. I've seen this in chat. Some of you said this. Selene Lanfear, kind of a new identity, known character, maybe giving us Lanfear a little bit earlier, and giving in this character of Dana, who becomes Selene, who is Lanfear. What do you think about this one, Natalia? Do you like? I know Recappa does. We're going to get Recappa's opinion. You don't like this idea at all. Okay, you're a no for Lanfear. You think it's because it's not possible, or you just don't like it?
No, I don't like it. I've looked at her resume, I've looked at her CV, and I've looked at her IMDb, and frankly, she's got musical theater in her background. There's no way she's not a critical, like, my vote is Sexy Lamp or Dina. My hope is Sexy Lamp.
So, Recappa,
I'll drink to that.
I know you're a fan
If she's
of the
a
Lanfear
sexy
theory.
lamp, I won't be disappointed.
Sorry, that's what we call men.
I think, that's
Sexy lamp.
that's Min's code name for Mary and Natalia and some of our fine viewers in chat right now. So yeah, I like the Lanfear, but she looks too sweet for Lanfear, is what Tree just said in chat.
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting some good shade from those brows. Like, I feel like I could get face. I'm excited.
Andrew Berenson just said, let's have Lanfear sing. There you go. Okay, Taylor, give us our next theory here. Dina, this is the common one, right? You hear this one all the time. Tom's lovers to be like new timeline kind of thing. Fast forward a bit and give us Dina. Or somehow, if you believe in John from What Up's idea that they're going this far into the Great Hunt, which I think is bunk. Sorry, John. But the idea that we get Dina... I mean, Recappa, do you like this idea that this is just a play on Dana, and this is just Dina, and they're just not telling us?
I don't see a reason to change her name to Dana. If you're gonna change her name, change her name. So I almost feel like Dina, because at first I thought this was Dina. I misunderstood the announcement. I thought it was Dina. But now that I know they've announced her as Dana, I'm like, well, it's definitely not Dina. Because why would you make such a small change? That's silly. I think that you're saying Dana in the way you're saying Steve, like it's a Mr. I just don't think it's Dina. I don't know why they would change that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Why tell us that, and why announce as the official name of the character? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I feel like that throws Dina out.
Yeah, I don't think it's Dina. I think if it were Dina, they would announce her as Dina, and that would be her name.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's weird to kind of fast forward the timeline and then not tell us that, and then have it be the surprise of, I don't know, it's a play on the name. So I agree for that to be her official name doesn't make sense.
I have a loony theory.
It's a typo.
Do we have more theories? Because I have a loony theory.
Yeah, so we have a couple more.
Okay.
Let's jump through those. Taylor, give us the next one here. So this is Min Farshaw, right? I've seen this a lot over, outside, out on Twitter and such. But everybody like, this could be Min, which it's possible. Mary, do you like this as Min Farshaw?
It could work. The timing is right, definitely, for On the Road to Camelin. They could make that work easily. And Min was older. She's the same age as Nynaeve, and it would work.
But this goes back to this whole thing. Why not just tell us? If they're announcing her official name, they'd have to change her name. So this is the question. I think everyone that's watching this, those of you in chat, like, what's the rationale for giving us the fake name here when Rafe's already told us that Min's going to be in the show? If they're announcing an official character, why not just say Min?
Same rationale for Steve. They may still be working things out in the script, or they may still be in negotiations, because if it's going to be a one-time thing versus an ongoing character, there may be more involved.
Yeah, it seems like the Min piece thing, it seems weird to not official name announcement. What are you saying, Natalia?
I just really feel like Min is kind of a weird name, and maybe they just changed the character's name.
the weird name hypothesis. Okay. No, this is not didn't they changed Taylor Nappier's character to Maxim instead of Owen or whatever. So yeah, I guess that's somewhat legit. Taylor, give us our next theory here. So we've just got Fail. I saw someone mention Fail after this. I thought that was very unlikely. Let's get our next one here.
No, that was my loony theory.
Oh, okay, good. Let's back up. Okay.
Because Dana is, they could be Ghostbusters fans. There is no Dana. There's only Zool. And Zool starts with a Z, and so does Zareen. And Zareen is Fail.
Wow.
Case
Dana to
Take
Zool.
A drink, everyone.
Take a drink, yes.
Time to get there.
Yeah, that was a long road. Everyone's watching. Take a drink for that one. Congratulations, Mary. That is quite the loony theory. I love it.
I live for that.
That was good. Taylor, give us our next one here. I saw this on Twitter. Elsa Pinfell, kind of a known character. Again, this idea of Dana being Black Aja, but somebody that kind of merges a couple of characters. I feel like that's the most likely situation here, which is we're going to get somebody that's a merge of a couple of characters. If not, the other rationale that Natalia just brought up, this idea of that name's too close or they just don't like that. What are you thinking, Recappa?
I think if they were going to if they were going to amalgamate characters into one Black Aja character, they would not do this thing where they give that character a secret name or an unusual name, because we would all be like, what's up with that character?
That's true.
Why are they doing this? I think part of the fun of the Wheel of Time is not knowing who is Black Aja on your first read through. So I just don't see them drawing attention in that way, because we're already like, who is this character that we've never heard of? And I doubt they would draw attention to a Black Aja character that way. I hope that for the first time, people who are experiencing this story, they won't have any clue who the Black Aja is. And I would hope they wouldn't draw attention like that. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I like that idea. And I'm gonna put this out there that this certainly could be, and I saw people mention this in chat, this could be Rafe playing on the Steve phenomena, which is Amazon saying, you know what, we know who the name is, but we're going to launch this, we're going to put this out there as the official name just to get, just to tweak us a little bit as far as us speculating as to who this character could be, and actually wanting to kind of hide who it is for a while also. It kind of mix of that. Taylor, show us our last one, or last two here. These last two I thought came in. An unnamed character, Tinker. Again, you brought up that she has a background in singing and such. And so I like this idea. I saw this one right at the end before we kind of set up the show. She could be a tinker that is just, and it's just Dana, right? It doesn't have a last name. It's just a character, but it is someone that maybe has, some dialogue with Perrin, for example, something to that effect. Where, and so I think that's a reasonable explanation for who this is. So those of you that are watching, Todd, what do you think about this idea of Tinker? She being kind of not random tinker, but just a tinker with dialogue. Todd?
Oh, sorry. I'm drinking.
You're too busy drinking.
I don't know.
Thumbs up or thumbs down on Tinker?
I don't want her to be a tinker. I want her to be Avi and Dana.
Avi and Dana.
Avi and Dana?
That's my pick.
What if they just changed her name to Avi and Dana?
I like it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So as far as all of these are concerned, I want to go around and then we'll jump into live adaptation here. I want to go around the room. We'll start with Recappa. Of all of these or your own, which is your favorite pick for Dana, who she's actually playing?
Oh. Of all these theories that we've heard?
Yeah, of all these, or if you have one that we didn't mention.
So I like the Lanfear theory because, first of all, I think it would be fun to see Lanfear. And I just like her look for Lanfear. I'm conflicted on this because I also don't love that in the Wheel of Time, these super powerful characters are also the most beautiful. I think it's weird. It's a weird coincidence. But I also think that when I look at her, I can see people being like, this is the most beautiful. I hate even saying this, but like, oh, this is the most beautiful woman in the world because she's got distinct features. So I can see them casting her as Lanfear. And I also think if you're going to make a secret about who, because they've been saying, like, they've given us last names. They've been telling the fans who they're casting. So to just give us a first name Dana and not say anything else, like it seems like they're hiding something. So I think it's going to be a more major character like Lanfear.
Okay. Yeah, I like the rationale there. I definitely think they could be hiding that, and Forsaken typically have a single name, right? We know them by single name, so Dana could be Lanfear. Natalia, what are you thinking here? Of all the choices, what would you pick?
I just saw an option in chat. Is she Young Swan?
Yeah, I've seen that. We didn't mention that, Young Swan. She could be Swan at some age range, if not Swan. I still think that's a total valid possibility. But why not tell us? Why not tell us? Why tell us Dana?
Well, again, Swan's a weird ass name. I don't know. Like,
Swan.
it's TV,
you think
and it's TV to a broad audience. Like, I know that we've got The Witcher and we've got Game of Thrones to sort of pave the way a little bit with our weird ass names. But
you think there's? I love how your rationale for all of them is just like changing a weird name. I get it. That's good. Mary, which was your pick?
Believe it or not, I'm kind of hoping she'll be Millie Skane, and I hope that they expand on Millie Skane's character, because there was a lot of potential there that kind of petered out in the books, and it may be because there was just too much going on.
I like it. Todd, what's yours? So we have Lanfear, we have Millie Skane, we have Swan. Who do you pick, Todd?
God, I'm either going with Min or Avienda. It's one or the other.
Min or Avienda? You have to pick one. Just one, Todd.
Okay, Avienda.
Avienda it is. So I'm kind of curious, for those that are in chat, of these four, who do you think has picked it correct? We have four options here. It's Lanfear, Swan. You picked Avienda or Millie Skane. That is not the four that I thought was going to come out of this.
Who are you picking, Matt?
Who am I going to pick? I have to say that I like that she might be part of the Tinkers. Yeah, I like that it's kind of another individual as part of, you had Aram, of course.
Wait. We cut the Tinkers, didn't we?
No, that's not part of our live adaptation. We didn't cut the Tinkers, actually. We still have the Tinkers. So
did we say Avienda?
We haven't. Did we save her?
Or
say her?
Did we mention her?
I did.
No, you said it.
Yeah, he said Avienda. Yeah, Todd.
I think that makes so much sense.
Oh, she makes the sexiest Aiel.
She would, first of all, yes. No, she looks right for it. But also, that seems like something they have reason to hide from us. Because Rafe made this big deal about there's going to be an Aiel in the first season. It's not the one you expect. So I can understand why they would keep that a secret from us. I actually really like that.
So we have... And I'm kind of curious if you didn't like it. I see a lot of people kind of, there's lots of, Millie, Swan, Lanfear. There is some Dana Bornhold individuals here. Yeah, Millie's getting a lot more love than I thought. So this idea that we have a dark friend here, if Rafe or his team ever see this, you may have convinced us that you've given us a dark friend. So I like that. I like that idea. So, hey, thanks for everybody for watching or participating in this part of the episode where we're talking all about who Dana is. But now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's start talking live adaptation. If you've never watched the live adaptations with us before, we pretty much go scene by scene and just talk about if we're going to cut or keep a person, a plot, a specific scene itself, when we're adapting this for television, as though we were in the room with Rafe and his team. If you're still watching us, there's some spoilers, obviously, for The Great Hunt. We'll try not to spoil the whole books. We'll try to throw a banner up if my panelists remember to tell me to put the banner up for spoilers.
Put the banner up.
But
Put the banner up now.
put the banner up, Taylor.
The book, Matt. We're gonna spoil it.
I just want them to know that there might be spoilers, so recognize we don't want to ruin anything for you. Again, follow Recappa if you'd like. What's perfect about Recappa's show, there's no spoilers across the first half, pretty much, and then gets into the nitty-gritty spoilers at the end. I love that. But we are going deep spoilers. Start drinking, everybody. Here we go, live adaptation. We're starting back up in The Great Hunt, chapter 43. Now, does anyone want to give us a summary of where we're at here? Does everyone remember who we're starting off? It's Min listening to Egwene's screams. I want to step back from this a little bit and just ask you, how much do you think, Recappa, that we need to see Egwene suffering at the hands of the Seanchan? Like, how much of that is necessary from a book to TV adaptation standpoint?
Yeah, I think this is an important question, actually. I've brought this up a little bit on Wheel Talk. It's an uncomfortable conversation because Damane are slaves, and my feelings are that we need to see exactly what is happening to them and how it feels for Egwene to go through this. I think that, again, I'll just be totally upfront. I feel weird talking about this as a white person. I thought about it on Wheel Talk, like I'm talking about slavery here, but I also think that if the Damane are a part of the story, the Damane are, and it's horrible what we see. It's horrible. And what we see with Egwene in this book is just horrible to read. And at the same time, I feel like this is how we get to understand what the Damane are and how horrible it is. And it hurts even more because we see it through this character's eyes, who we've started to like at that point. And I don't think they can pull the punch because Damane are a part of the story and we keep dealing with this and we need to understand what it is that they're doing. And I think we need to see through Egwene's eyes just how horrible this is. And I feel like it would be weird for them to do it without showing us exactly what this is like for her. Even though that's going to be really painful to watch, I don't expect that to be a fun episode. That's going to be awful. I mean, it's horrible to read, and to watch it will be awful. But I also think that, if we're going to deal with this throughout the series in the way that we do, we have to understand it. And we have to understand it from the perspective of someone who is a Damane.
Yeah, I think you have to keep that in there. Min's scene here where she's hearing it, that might even be just very powerful. Maybe Jordan gave us something there. The idea of being on the outside and hearing this happen is a really good storytelling, just from a human standpoint. But this idea, and let's go down through the scene a little bit. She hears this, right, and she's been trying to plot some type of escape. She meets up with Nynaeve and Elaine, and then they go meet up with Bael Damon. So, Mary, is this important that do we need Bael here? Like, do we need this aspect of let's escape, let's get away, let's plan our escape using him in this? Or can we just have them be planning some escape and getting her out, and we don't need to add this additional kind of having him there and kind of setting this piece up?
Okay, having him there just kind of loops a character we've seen before back into things, which is always a nice touch. I've always liked that about the Wheel of Time, how we keep seeing people we've seen before show up again. It just helps knit the entire world together. But I wanted to real quick speak on something that Recappa said. I too am, it's really difficult to think about how this is going to be displayed. I'm really not interested in torture porn. I don't think we need to go the Littlefinger route. But I love the fact that the Shan-Chan are so morally gray. They have such a huge dynamic equilibrium in their morality. So much so that, even in conversations online and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, where people will start talking about all the good things that happen, but you have to go, dude, they had slaves that they tortured like animals. And, it makes you, question, the morality of the whole thing. And I love that aspect of that whole culture and how it was included in the series. And it shows up over and over again. It's the question. I mean, it's even a saying in Korean, take what you want and pay for it. How much are you willing to put up with to get what you want? What are you willing to do? Well, who are you willing to subjugate and dehumanize to get what you want? And I think that's a common theme in the entire series. And it's not social justice or anything like that. It's thrown in your face multiple times in the series, and I think it would add to the television show to show that level of evil combined that isn't from the dark one. This is not the shadow. This is just straight up human cruelty.
I'm not laughing at you, Mary. It's just that Recappa and I are basically nodding at the exact same point.
Girl.
And I feel like we're puppets.
Okay.
It's like the Brady Bunch. We're all trying to make Alice feel like, yes, we get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I'm seeing a lot of people in chat agreeing to this idea. I think you have to keep it in here. I think it does, and I think I'm sure they're going to be thinking about how they approach it, how they show it.
I mean, back to your original question, Matt, is do we need to have Bail Dolman? I like the scene with Nynaeve and Bail, and having her be an absolute badass like she is. Spoiler alert, Nynaeve is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. So I like seeing all of these badasseries of hers. But do we need Bail? I don't know. It's kind of a Chekhov's gun that wasn't fired.
Yeah, and that kind of aspect comes to me. I feel like this is an easy cut for me, at least. Not that he doesn't have to have been in the area, not that you can't show him, but do we need these side scenes with him? I don't see it as completely necessary. So I kind of want to ask this to the panels here. Keeper cut. Bail, does he make the cut here in Falme or no? You can tell me, Todd, are you a keeper cut when it comes to Bail?
I'm a cut.
A cut. Natalia, keeper cut.
Cut.
Cut. I'm a cut. We'll ask the other two panelists. Keeper cut. Recappa?
Cut. I love that people love Bail Dolman, but I just don't care. I'm down to cut him.
Okay, we're cutting out Bail. We're getting right to the story. They're going to make some plan, and they're going to get to the rescue here. I'm kind of curious for those in chat that are watching right now. Would you keep this aspect of the story with Bail, or would you cut him? I'm seeing a lot of no Bails. Josh pointed out he does have great scenes, and I like Bail's scenes. And you can even show him again, his ship can still be there, and you can show a scene or a cut of him doing something. But I don't think it's totally necessary in this moment itself. We're not cutting him completely from the show.
Yeah, because did we keep him? Because that's how the Horn got to Falme and to High Lord Turok.
Yeah, we did not cut him. We kept him. So he's definitely in Falme in our live adaptation. Okay. We're seeing a lot of there's a lot of keeps in chat right now. I'm watching.
Let's be clear. We're not cutting the character. We're just cutting these scenes.
Just these scenes.
Nothing happened.
Yep. Yeah. So
he's one of my favorite.
Yeah, we have to keep him as a character. We have to keep him as a character, cutting out these scenes. Right. This aspect.
I love
of kind
his
of
dialect, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
So does my aged grandmother.
Exactly. So let's jump to chapter 44 then. We have this whole kind of back and forth. Perrin barely dodges Bornhald, who shows up with the White Cloaks, and then Varen has her kind of 5 ride forth moment here. Natalia, do you like this? Do we need this kind of Perrin's almost caught by the White Cloaks, and this kind of White Cloaks are going to show up in Falme, or do we just need them to show up?
I think we kind of just need the scene between Jeffrem and Bayer. We don't need to see them running into Perrin. We don't need to see that piece. We don't need to see Jeffrem's inner thoughts. We just need to see the tell my son what happened and hold on a sec, let me write it down because I think you're dumb.
Right. I did like some aspect here that kind of stuck out to me this time with Matrim actually tells Perrin, he's like, hey, we should leave. I'm feeling like we should go. And I kind of wonder if this is part of his the luck aspect that is Matt, as in they get out there just in time. Now you can just point it to Tavirin, but of course as you can always do in this book. But I thought it was interesting that Matt kind of made a comment, and then they got out of there, and in came Bornhald, and they were almost caught. So yeah, this piece I feel like is not totally necessary. But it'd be really quick, and I'm going to kind of push back on this. It could be quick. And it could still show that they almost were together. This does have the aspect of him seeing Perrin, and this goes to Bayer and connects Perrin, and the White Cloaks end up in the two rivers later. Spoiler. Say I forgot.
Yeah, it's totally Spoilers. Our fault, man.
Like I said, I said it before I heard myself. So, what do you think about this, Todd? Are you do we need this watching them kind of travel? And between themselves, seeing the White Cloaks travel to Falme and seeing Varen and company, or do we just need them to get there?
We just need them to get there. This can be pretty simply done. I like the idea of having Bornhald tell Bayer, give him the note. But the rest of it, I think, can be gone through pretty easy. There's nothing super important that goes on.
Yeah, I would agree with this, but what about when it comes to Recappa, when it comes to the scene with Varen, and she does the 5 ride forth, and which is, by the way, is a hilarious scene. Because
it is!
Then Uno and
so
Loyal are
funny.
they're like, can I go? And she's like, no.
Thank you for saying that. I've always wondered, do other people think this is so funny? Because I think it's so funny that they have this prophecy. It's a prophecy. Varen knows full well what a prophecy is. Like, she knows that these things are gonna happen. And the fact that they're like, Loyal's like, I want to go, and Varen's like, absolutely not. That's not in the prophecy. I think that's like the only reason Five Will Ride Forth happens is because Varen insists, which is kind of crazy because that's not how they deal with prophecies in the Wheel of Time. They're like, okay, this is what's going to happen, and we're going to work around those events that we know will happen. But Varen's just like, oh, I'm worried this isn't going to happen exactly the way it's supposed to. Loyal, you can't go. I'm going to pick exactly who goes. I'm going to draw it in the ground. No, you can't go. It's so funny to me.
Well, then I think Rand also mentions there's like one of the spokes is, cut. He notices that only the 4 of the spokes remain, and he's like, that's weird. Varen,
if Varen wasn't there.
Yeah, well, I love it. Varen even counts herself out. She's like, no, I couldn't be helpful. Like, here's an Aes Sedai that would clearly be helpful in such a situation. She's like, no, they might find me, so I'm going to stick back here.
She's the only one who actually has a good point. I just think it's funny that Varen's like, this is how this goes down. I'm going to make sure it goes down that way. When, like, that's not how prophecies work. And she knows that, but she's just like, absolutely not. I have envisioned this. It's great.
I love it. So I'm a keep for this particular scene. And I think I saw this in chat. I think keep every scene that Varen's in the books at least, if not give us more. And I am a total believer in that. So I'm a keep here. Anyone on the panel for a cut of this scene?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems like everyone's.
I think it would make a great dissolve between scenes with the shot of the dirt with the wheel scratched out and one of them broken.
Exactly. Yes, I'm with Recappa. Every scene with Varen must be kept. And like Beth just said, yes, keep all of Varen. Yeah, this is to Rafe and his team. If you don't give us more Varen, that would be the most disappointing decision you might make at this point.
Also, counterpoint, a lot of what makes Varen fun is the fact that we don't get that much of her and she's a mystery, but I just want to see her. So,
and she's weird as shit. That makes her fun.
Maria Doyle Kennedy's going to kill it.
You like her for Varen? Oh, man. I did wonder, I'll have to share this maybe at the end if I remember, but just about Brandon's comments about divisive changes and Dana. But anyways, we'll jump back to that sometime. So chapter 44 is in the books. We cut a little bit of this back and forth with Perrin running out to villages and, Bornhald seeing him. You can get that in different ways. You don't necessarily need it there. And Bale's been cut. Hopefully those of you that are watching are enjoying this and drinking, just like my panelists are. Cheers to all of you with your dusty bugs or not. Yes, exactly. I think we need to send one to Recappa after the show. For sure.
Yes, we did.
I look like a mess, which has never happened before. So I'll have to make do with my wine glass.
Yes. Cheers to
I
everybody.
was asking Tivana to wait on me, but she's a mess, and I just figured for a live video, no.
Okay, chapter 45. This is, we have Nynaeve and Elaine and Min. They kidnap Ossaldam and they steal. Well, they were going to kind of just steal her stuff from her, and then they ended up using her to go in and save Egwene. What aspect of this, Natalia, is an important, if it comes to adapting this to TV, like what do we have to capture about this breakout scene, this, escape scene? What's important to get from here? And is there something that we don't see that we need?
I'm freaking happy you passed to me, Matt. If we're keeping the Shanshan and the rest of it, can we please see the girls put their plan into action? I want to see Nynaeve standing in the door and Min sitting on a barrel and rubbing her knees and checking up and down the street. I want to see it all. I want to see them punch the Domaine in the face. I want to see everything.
Yes. Thank you.
By the way,
thank you.
I want to see Seta or Seta.
And I
always say Seta.
I say Seta, so I would like to see her getting spanked. I would like to see her looking desperate. I want to see. Yes, I want to see all of it.
I mean, you have this whole scene where Egwene pretty much don't we get this? Is this? I thought we get this part where they they haven't gone in yet. They just kind of take her. That's right. So yeah, you have to have this whole scene. Is there any reason to cut this? Does anyone believe in cutting this kind of piece?
Hell no.
You can't
This is
be here if you
this
want
is the
that.
key going in the door for them
Yeah.
learning what the Soldam and Damani are.
Yeah. And we have a cut scene here to bail at one point, and they're impatient to leave, and then we have Rand and his crew are kind of arriving, doing their own, rescue, if you will, of the dagger and such, and they do sneak into they sneak in here, and they have obviously this duel with Turok and such. Todd, is this seems like a keeper of a scene. You have to have this, right, with the horn and the dagger. This one seems made for television or made for the screen, in my opinion. Is there anything you would change about this, or are you just kind of full bore, like this whole section needs to stay?
I think it needs to stay, number one, because Matt kills that guy with the dagger, and it shows you just what kind of dangerous crap he's been walking around with and has been infecting everybody for this whole time.
It's
And
so
then
gnarly.
yes, and it
The Raiders of the Lost Ark thing where the guy just melts.
right. But it also shows just how weird the Shanshan are, because they don't help. They all kill themselves when Turok dies, and it's just another aspect
Yes.
of how
Yes.
messed up their whole system is.
Yes.
Yeah, the culture of the Shanshan comes out in this. Recappa, is there something about this scene that you think that we haven't discussed, that you think you want to see more of or less of, or they just need to kind of dig into?
I was just going to bring up the humor of Rand defeating Turok and all these guards standing around who obviously have the power to kill Rand very easily combined. And they just stab themselves. And Rand's like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
I think it's so funny. He's just like, what is wrong with these people? They all killed themselves? They could take me so easily. So yeah, I love the fight with Turok, but I love even more when everyone just kills themselves and it's like he just killed the lead White Walker or something. It's funny.
Right, exactly. I mean, do you like this, Mary? Do you like this without Fane in this at this point? Do you want to see him as part of this?
I don't know if we need Fane here. I mean, I like Fane. I really do. I think he's a great villain, but I don't know if he's needed here. I think Turok and the introduction of the Shanshan is evil enough. We don't need Fane.
Okay. Yeah, so this one seems like this whole chapter, I feel like, is just basically, I mean, you can even have that cutscene to bail Damon as far as like his crew being anxious to leave, but he wants to stick around and see what happens, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I feel like you could keep this entire chapter as is. Anyone want to cut anything from this chapter, or are we good with moving on from this one?
You skipped a piece.
Which place did I skip?
Where Rand sees
Saw.
Egwene.
Yeah,
he
saw
does see
Egwene.
her. Yeah, he sees her. That seems obviously a really important piece of this because it's going to kind of instruct what he ends up doing. Yeah, he does see her across the way. I love how Matt is just so anxious to get away with the dagger. He's like, "Are you sure you saw her? I don't think you saw her. She's not here. We just need to leave. I need to have, he's like, I need to get out of here. I have the dagger. It's done."
The other piece I desperately need to keep, Matt, is Matt dropping the horn when he tosses it over the wall.
He just yeets it.
And Ingtar's like,
Yeah. I had forgotten about that piece of it, and that is just the humor. And I think there is something.
Matt.
Yeah, there's something just so, severe about the Shanshan, and there is going to be just some humorous points in this as they go through this. I mean, they're kind of bumbling fools a bit, Ingtar's probably the most responsible of them as a, spoiler.
Yeah,
Dark friend.
and then there's also, the Shanshan have pride. They've got a lot of hubris, and they think they are the shit, and they have yet to have anything to prove otherwise. So it's totally in character and totally on point. And to have the five that go in and steal the horn and the dagger out from under their noses is just brilliant. it's brilliantly written. It should translate really well to the screen. There's a lot of visual eye candy in here. The death of the guard to the dagger, the sword fight between Rand and the High Lord, and the interaction between Rand and Ingtar. I mean, Ingtar has been, the Horn of Valera is his, salvation, and he's been drooling over it, and it's more than a MacGuffin to him. It's his way back, and we don't know why until we find out at the end of the story. And then and he said it's been a constant thing for him ever since Shinar. So when Rand says, screw the Horn, if I leave Egwene to this, I will have damned myself, and Ingtar is like, you really mean that? He has an epiphany at that point.
Yeah,
we need that.
Well,
yeah,
you can
and by the way,
you can clock it in his face.
Yeah,
Rand sees it in his face and he doesn't know what he's seeing, but he sees it. He clocks it.
I want to just have everyone just let you know, Natalia. Everyone's concurring with your Matt scene. They're like, he just yeets it. Yes, Matt yeeting must be kept. Yeet. Yes. There's lots. Everyone's.
And he tosses a badger after it.
I like how Josh says everyone's looking for the horn and he drops it. Yes, exactly. That's what makes this whole thing so
and then he
so
picks
good.
it up and goes, it's not even
ow,
scratched.
ow.
She got wine up her nose, yo.
No, I've been there.
While we're waiting for that to simmer down, the pacing of this chapter is some of the best writing in this entire book.
Yep.
He bounces from scene to scene to scene, and each scene is unrelated, but it furthers the story, and it is so cinematic. Like, if we just keep the pacing and the cuts, like, it's perfect.
Yeah, this is one of those chapters we've run into a couple of these in The Great Hunt. This is certainly one that just doesn't need a lot to be changed at all, and so hopefully Rafe and his team recognize that. So I love chapter 46. Let's move on to chapter 47. The grave is no bar to my call. Sorry, that was chapter 45. Let's just move on to chapter 46 now, which is when Nynaeve and team go in and they actually rescue Egwene. So Recappa, this rescue scene, we do see Egwene beat the hell out of Rhenna, and that's an intense part. We get a lot of this kind of, and I want to point out one thing that I did notice this time. Elaine says in the previous chapter, she's like, I wonder how this works. It was kind of this cool precursor to Elaine's obsession with Terangreal. It was a nice little kind of, it's just like this little one-off sentence, and Jordan ends up using it later on. You're like, oh, she was curious, and she always was about this, so it makes more sense. But when it comes to this, Recappa, what's important that Rafe gets right about this scene? What should be added? What should be taken away of this rescue scene to Egwene?
Well, first of all, this is my favorite heist in the Wheel of Time. I feel like we get a couple, and when you look at what Matt does in Ebudar, it does not compare, because Nynaeve actually gets a Soldom's clothes, figures out how to take off the collar, and it is so. For me, Nynaeve is MVP of The Great Hunt. I just love how she saves Egwene, and I love that, as opposed to Matt's escape from Ebudar, we actually get to see her take these demonic out of there in a disguise. It's so when she takes down, and also we don't even know that it's Sita until Egwene says so, which is so much fun. Anyway, your question was, how much do we have to keep?
Yeah, what do we keep? What do we keep? What do we cut of this whole section of this chapter where they're rescuing her? Just, is this kind of an everything or more?
The important thing is that Egwene smashes that picture into Rhenna's midriff so hard that I throw my fists in the air. That is what's important.
I like it.
I also, it's an interesting scene when Nynaeve pulls Egwene off of her. Nynaeve pulls Egwene off of Rhenna. And it's interesting because Nynaeve, who has this thing with anger throughout the series, you wouldn't think she would be the one to pull Egwene off and say, hey, you need to pull yourself back. Like Nynaeve, of all people, gets it. But it's interesting. It really establishes Nynaeve as the adult in the situation. And I think that for me, and a lot of what people criticize Egwene for later in the series, I think can be attributed to her experience with the Shanshan. And so I do think that if they're gonna like focus on the details of any subplot in this story, it should be rescuing Egwene from the demonic, because it's badass. It establishes Nynaeve as incredible. It's one of the first times we've seen the women using the One Power as a weapon. We really, until Tome on Head, we don't see that. And so getting to see Egwene earthbend and getting to see Nynaeve call lightning, like, it's epic. And it's complicated at the same time because they're not supposed to be doing that. So I think for me, Nynaeve, Egwene, Min Elaine is much more interesting at the end of book 2 than Rand, Perrin, Matt, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even the heroes, like, I'm more interested in what's going on with escaping the Shan-Chan and how Nynaeve takes charge of that. So
And those
I
are
hope
both
we get
very
more of
high
it.
bars. Those are incredibly high bars. This was a great ending
I
to
agree.
this book. This was
I had
really, it was
forgotten.
tight.
I had forgotten how tight and beautifully, like, every word.
Well, it's interesting, and Todd, I'm gonna ask you this: I look at this and see the Matt, Rand, and Perrin stuff almost like comic relief, whereas this Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine thing is like a very serious, right? Like the topic is serious, what's happened to us is very serious, and then you have Matt, and like you said, Matt's chucking the horn over here, and and they're kind of just they're kind of bumbling up to the room, and Ingtar's taking them there, and there's all this weird Shan-Chan stuff going on. And they get out, but yeah, I do believe that this particular scene with Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene and Min is actually it kind of bonds all four of them together, so much so. Whereas, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we already have Perrin and Matt and Rand as one. So do you like this scene more than the other, or do you think they kind of balance each other out?
I think they kind of balance each other out, but I also think that I like seeing Egwene totally lose her shit when they get to the street. She's just like, no way in hell am I going back, and I will fight you until I die. And that comes later in the series. She shows that she is willing to do whatever it takes to survive, to get this done.
But also, she ruined the plan and screwed everything up with her trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's important too that, like, she wasn't above her trauma, that her trauma really did get the best of her, that terrible experience really did change her, and that her friends, as much as they were empathetic and there for her, Elaine flat out says, I don't get it. Why didn't you run away? What's the big friggin' deal?
Right.
So I don't know if it's just looking at it through this new lens of life that I have, but it was a really great way to look at sort of the ripple effect of that kind of violence and that kind of damage, and what it does not only to an individual but to the big picture in terms of, would the Shan-Chan have engaged the White Cloaks that early in battle? Would the White Cloaks have engaged them if she hadn't started the fighting in the city as early as she did? Would Rand have battled in the sky, and would Matt have called the heroes if she hadn't started that ball rolling?
Well, I want to talk about this because it's coming up to chapter 47, and I think that things might get a little bit controversial with what we keep and what we cut, because I have a thought that I haven't really dug too deep into, but I want to propose it to all of you. Before we jump into chapter 47, though, this last piece of Ingtar, I feel like it's a clear thing we need to keep. I don't think we need to change anything about what we see with Ingtar here, but I wanted to give it out to the panel. Is there anything you would change about this piece with Ingtar admitting to Rand who he is?
No.
Okay.
I will.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I will say that in general, I think too many dark friends are dark friends because they want advancement in the world that will come after. They want to raise their status. And to me, any dark friend who's like, oh, I chose to follow the shadow because I thought it would elevate my status, that person seems a little bit like an idiot to me throughout the series. Like, I mean, it happens a lot throughout the series. And to me, it makes total sense to choose to be a dark friend to save your own life. I get that. I relate to that. I'm like I understand when we're spoilers. We're all spoilers.
Yeah. There is, if you're, depending on how far you're going, but yes, spoilers for anyone that's watching. We have some people in chat that have only been through book 4. So if you're watching right now, we'll put a little spoiler banner up. Okay. Are you sure you don't want it? We can put a little spoiler banner up and take it down.
No,
once
it's
you're
okay.
Done.
I really don't have to go there. My point is, I think a lot of dark friends in the Wheel of Time choose to be dark friends because they think it will give them status. And that, to me, is not a smart argument when you look at the Dark One and what the Dark One stands for. However, there are you have these situations where the Dark One's like, you have to follow me or you will die. And in those cases, I'm like, I get it. I would like to think that I would continue to follow the light in that situation, but who knows when your life is threatened. And so with Ingtar, when Ingtar is like, I chose this because he monologues a little bit about how it made so much sense at the time because I thought I would have status. It makes him sound stupid to me. I'm like, if you were a smart character who wanted to get what you wanted, you would not join the Shadow. So I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
No. I just think that this is a way of avenging himself because he stands alone. Yeah. He does it alone. He saves the others alone. He does it by himself, and I feel like this is a kind of a good. I don't even know how to say it. It's a good way for him to come back to the light because he does this by himself, and he makes this choice to do this by himself.
Yeah, and it could be a mirror to what we saw earlier in Shadar Logoth, where there it was using the methods of the Shadow to fight the Shadow and succumbing to that. So that was Ingtar's thing. He wanted to protect Shinar. He didn't want it to fall the way Malkier did. He chose to sacrifice himself and be the wet man, be the evil person to save so other people didn't have to. And, there is a sense of honor to that, even though it is distorted and it is twisted. And it goes back to that what are you willing to do to get what you want?
Yep. Yeah. So I feel like these last 3 chapters we've pretty much kept intact. They're just really well written. I think all of you use the word tight. I think they are. It's just really well done. The pace is just incredibly fast. And then we get to chapter 47. And by the way, and I want to open up the call lines now. I know those of you that are watching, this is a live call-in talk show. If you want to give us a call, the phone number is 1-313-825-5968. That's 1-313-825-5968, or that's 1-313-TALK-WATT. You can give us a call if you have an opinion about Dana, or if you have an opinion about anything we've adapted so far, or if you just want to tell Recappa Sedai how wonderful she is and Wheel Talk is, you can do that also. We'll leave those call lines open, but now I want to throw this out to everybody in chat that's watching, if you're still here. And by the way, hopefully you've liked the video. If you haven't, please do that now. This is so other Wheel of Time fans can find this live and right now join in with us. And also, if you aren't a subscriber, we hope you've enjoyed this, and we hope that you'll consider subscribing. So that being said, chapter 47, I want to propose to everybody that we cut the blowing of the horn of Valir.
Whoa!
Keep going.
It's because
keep going.
There, it takes away, it diminishes the use of the horn a little bit, in my opinion. For those that are watching, by the way, spoilers, and these spoilers will go through the entire books, if you will. So if you're still here, Sarches Gaming, I think, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You're still here, and I apologize. So we're going to spoil some things right now. So Taylor, thank you for putting this up. We'll take it down when we're done. I think using this now diminishes the use of it later on, I believe. It's such a kind of like it's the button that you press when the world is ending and you need it. And I feel like by doing it, we lose that aspect of it. Also, it introduces so much weird. It's hard to understand for first-time readers and viewers what's happening, right? Rand can see, because of the effects of what's happening, because of the horn, he can see over here and see over there, and he sees the battle, and they're linked together. And I don't know, this for me, I feel like you could hold it back. You still have Matt going to Tar Valon later on because of the dagger. You have the horn. you just don't need it, do you? And that's the question I have. Taylor, Natalia's back if you want to throw in there. So I want to throw that out. I haven't gone down this road, but I want to throw this idea out. Recappa, what do you think about this? Do we need to blow the Horn of Alir in this moment?
This is a fabulous question. And as I went back to reread the passage for this, the chapters you mentioned, I was like, oh my God, Rand is literally right next to Matt when he blows the Horn of Alir. He's right there. And like, the heroes of the Horn have to follow Rand's banner. So it is weird when Matt blows the horn. It is kind of like, why don't you just hand the horn to Rand? He's right there. And they have to follow his banner. And also, so after reading these chapters, I went back to A Memory of Light because I was like, in Great Hunt, there's this big deal about the heroes of the Horn can only ride when the dragon's banner is raised. They are linked to the banner. And none of that comes into play in A Memory of Light. None of it. Like, all the heroes of the Horn are just free to kind of run wherever they want as soon as that goes down. And it's like, also, I will say, heroes of the Horn are too powerful. They're just too powerful. Like, there's this thing in A Memory of Light where it's like, oh, we can be beaten. And it's kind of like, but can you? Like, I mean, you guys say that, but like, you're really powerful. Anyway, I feel like in book 2, this sort of becomes too much of a game changer. As soon as they call it the Heroes of the Horn, the battle's over. Like, they're going to win. There's no doubt to it. It's fun to see Birgitta and Archer Hawkwing, but at the same time, we're going to get them at the end. Wouldn't that be cooler? And I don't see a reason to link it to Matt here, since it's not even linked to Matt. So yeah, I'm living for Natalia right now so much.
by the way, everyone in chat disagrees.
Really? Oh my God,
I love this. I love
all
reading it.
of you are wrong.
Like, Matt has to be connected. Matt has to be connected. Matt has to be connected. Yes, it
but
would.
does he? Because at the end, when like I love it when Ulver is the blower of the horn. I love it, but like, literally, Matt didn't have to be connected. And then Noel shows up to save Ulver, and Ulver has this great moment where it's like, oh, someone came back for me. And it's like, right, but the rules say he's supposed to be under that dragon banner. So what's even happening? And I think it's cleaner to have the Shadow gain the Horn of Alir and not gain it back until Memory of Light. I think that's a really powerful narrative choice. I hadn't thought of that before we taped this, but hearing you say that they should cut the blowing of the horn, I'm into it. Let them win that battle by themselves. Like, it's a little ridiculous what goes down at the end of the second book.
So, yeah, Vance says this would be a terrible move. Yeah, like Nablus 200% disagree.
You can't read that, Todd.
Oh, I can't wait to read all this. Bring it though. Bring it.
Okay, Todd, what do you want to say?
Right here, I have cut for the whole horn. I have.
Wow, you're a cut for the horn seed. Oh wow, I didn't realize we had. We have 4 callers. I hadn't looked ever since we had thrown this idea out. Okay, so I know fun. Joe mentioned in chat, and for those that are watching, you're like, this is insulting. How can you do this? There's so many pieces of this. Taylor's going to take down the spoiler banner from this. So those of you that are watching, hopefully you see that if you were walking away because it was spoilers. Now we'll continue just talking about the Horn of Alir, but I want to bring in one of our callers here as they're queuing here. And hear what they have to say. Our first caller is one who's well known to all of us. It's Oscar from Sweden. Let's bring Oscar in. Hey, Oscar, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to hear from you again. So what are your thoughts?
I think it's good. And I want to discuss something that I've had an idea for since the beginning that you talked about the Great Hunt. I haven't had the ability to talk about this because, this show's in the middle of the night in Europe, so I need my sleep. But I want to talk about Euron and Ingtar and their involvement in the show. And I have an idea of, I know that Euron has a semi-big role in the Great Hunt. However, his future roles later in the series is pretty much nothing but cameos. I like the guy. However, he doesn't really have much involvement overall. So I think, what if we took his sniffing ability and transferred that ability over to Ingtar instead? And thus, we could have him also at the same time with that and Orvos go through the Portal Stone, and that could also be a game changer for him. That's when he realized that, oh God, this is not good. I should go back to the light and confess what I've done.
So would you recommend then? So I like this idea. You're mixing Ingtar with Huron. Is part of this idea that you would keep him then later on? In other words, Ingtar would turn to the light and there wouldn't be any death, and he would kind of go on like becoming a triple agent, if you will. He turns back on his. Is that the idea, or would you still have him die at the end of the Great Hunt?
I think he should probably keep going as a book from that he probably will die. However, I think, like I said, I like Huron, but he's unnecessary outside of his sniffing ability. So why not instead put it on someone that actually has a bit more impact in the book itself?
Interesting, yeah. What do you? Well, by the way, we won't keep you on any longer. We know you're calling long distance here, Oscar. Great idea. We'll ask the panelists and just continue watching, and we'll answer that question. Hey, thank you so much for calling, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
As always, thank you.
Thanks, Oscar.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Man, I thought I was bloodthirsty. Dang, that's some hardcore.
I mean, I think after I dropped the bomb of cutting the horn, cutting Huron is
everything is
small
just,
pieces. Recappa, would you cut? Do you like this idea of just kind of cutting Huron and giving that ability, kind of merging it into somebody that we do keep?
This is one of those things where I feel like, story-wise, yes, you could cut it. Fan-wise, if you cut the sniffer, the fans will erupt. I just feel like that's one of those things that like you kind of have to keep just for the lore that's been set up. But story-wise, yeah, I think they could get around it. I think that there are a lot of characters who can fill these roles that we come across in the Great Hunt. Like someone who can like lead us towards Fane. Like there are a lot of ways to do that. I'm gonna make everyone so mad. Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I just read a comment
I'm
in
so
chat.
excited. No, I just like. But yeah, I feel like there are so many ways to do the things that happen in the Great Hunt. There are so many characters they could choose to involve, and for me, Ingtar and Huron are not particularly compelling characters, and I don't latch onto them. The characters I latch onto in the Great Hunt near the end are Varen, Nynaeve, and Matt. And I don't really need Huron and Ingtar to come out and have a big moment at the end. I just don't care that much. So, but I understand why people like those characters, and I get it.
Yeah, and by the way, Greg points us out every time, and it's funny because when we do these these live adaptations, we rarely cut anybody. But one time we cut Loyal. Well, I didn't. My panelists up here did because they're mean jerks, and I brought him back. I brought him back with a. I brought him back, so he's back in our adaptation. But yeah, fans freaked out about that. And what's good is, for those of you that are watching, well done, by the way. Nice bottle finishing there, Recappa.
I'm devastated, but I'm not going to send for Tivana because she never does anything right.
So yeah, this aspect, thankfully Rafe has said, he doesn't plan on cutting a lot, at least from what we can tell. I mean, we have the Grinwells, for goodness sakes. So
that's exciting.
So
if we're keeping the Grinwells, we can keep Huron.
Yeah. The likelihood is, if we're keeping the Grinwells, we probably do. The question is, can you afford to kind of cut and merge some characters? So I think that's an interesting question that comes up. Let's bring in our next caller. It is someone we also know, Norm. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Norm.
Hello, everybody. What's up to everybody in chat? And I got three things. First off, Matt, Todd, a pox upon your houses for saying that you want to cut the horn.
By the way, Recappa also concurred, so I think you need to add Recappa into that group.
Wait. We haven't got to Recappa yet. We'll save Recappa for last. But My goodness. Okay, now these last 4 or 5 chapters of The Great Hunt are so beautiful. They need to be in one episode. So that's one thing. 2, on the first read through of The Great Hunt, when Matt blows the horn, for me that was OMG. That just came out of nowhere. I mean, he blew the horn? What? So that was just fracking awesome for me. And the other part of the scene that I connected with was the fight between Turok and Rand. I mean, Rand was getting his butt kicked, and all of a sudden, in 4 strokes, Turok's dead. And I'm like, yeah, he's a blade master. So that was just epically awesome. And then everything that all of you have said about the women saving Egwene, girl power, dude, that was that yes, 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 yes. And then part 2 is for the 2 characters, Steve and Dana. My question is, why would they make them anonymous if there wasn't some sort of payoff at the end? Because it doesn't benefit them to introduce 2 random characters that are being introduced first off if they are just randoms. They have to have some sort of prominence to them in order to be anonymous as Steve and Dana. And then the last thing I want to say is, Recappa, girlfriend, love your show. Your top 10 of Egwene show was hilarious. And however, because you killed the horn, I will give you a Avengers metaphor. Instead of I love you 3,000, Recappa, I love you 2,999 on a scale of 1 to 10. So there you go. So I'm going to leave you guys to chat and discuss amongst yourselves. Love to you all, and I'm raising my glass to all of you. So here you go. There you go. Love
Thanks,
you all.
man.
Take care.
Goodbye. Take care.
The Recappa scale is pretty awesome. Got it.
I will take it. That's pretty high on the Recappa meter. That's higher than I expected. I'm a mess. So yeah, thank you. I take that. That's awesome.
But what I think is really interesting is you will see people cutting Forsaken who actually are involved throughout the entire series, but you have to have this horn scene. It's not that I don't love the horn scene, but going back and reading it this time I read it through it was one of these scenes similar to the end of The Eye of the World that just is otherworldly in ways that I just don't think is as engaging as something like maybe The Dragon Reborn, how that ends. But I understand everyone's doesn't like this idea. I'm throwing it out there and clearly not well accepted. Let's we have 2 more callers and then we'll get back to finishing off. And Natalia, if you have to go, we understand. You just let us know. You just let us know.
Before we go to the next caller, I just gotta say this with Tal in the room. The suggestion of dropping Ingtar and his sacrifice is bollocks. I'm sorry. It's bollocks. And Tal, you're with me on this, I know, because we've had this argument before with others, with Sarah, actually. Noble sacrifices are there for a reason, and they add so much to the story, and to get rid of it, to deny somebody their sacrifice is just wrong. And if you're gonna do Ingtar dirty, there's another noble sacrifice at the end of the series I'm not going to mention that should have stayed sacrificed. I'm sorry. Just don't go down that road.
You're leaving it there? Okay, so Delusions of Grendel said, guys, I want Brigitte so bad. Please don't cut my girl. I understand.
I hear you, Grendel.
We'll keep her.
So
Don't need her
after
now.
all this feedback,
If they give us the Hunters of the Horn and don't give us Brigitte, I'll be mad. That's not okay.
Yeah,
you're gonna give us the heroes. We have to see Brigitte
Right.
and Arthur. Like we have to.
Right.
Yeah, it's a. By the way, there are 1 or 2 people that agree with the idea of the horn scene, but everyone else is like, you guys are crazy. So I want to ask everybody this. We have to ask this question for us before we let Natalia go, and this is going to affect our live adaptation. Who's for cutting the horn out of our live adaptation from our panelists? So here we go. Cutting the horn scene, Matt blowing the horn at the end of The Great Hunt. Not the horn itself, just the blowing of the horn Are we for it or against it as a... You have to pick yes or no here. This is a keeper cut moment. This is probably the most intense one considering all of the angst in the live chat right now. Mary's a no. Natalia, make your choice here. You got to go here shortly.
Keep the horn blowing, lose the rest of the interaction.
Keep the horn blowing. Okay, Todd, are you a cut horn?
Cut. I'm a cut.
Recappa, has your mind been changed, or are you?
I need to understand. So if Matt doesn't blow the horn, does that mean the shadow has the horn until the very end?
No, everything else would. I mean, you'd have to add. Obviously, people are bringing this up. Like what would you do? Yes, you would have to change it somewhat to make the Shanshan lose. You'd have to probably mix it with the White Cloaks. You'd probably have to throw some other things in there that don't. I mean, the White Cloaks battle still does happen. You'd have to kind of put Rand and such. You'd have to change things. By the way, there's so many thumbs down and no's.
So bad
I want to say these are long books, and they're gonna have to change some things. And if saving the Horn of Valyr until the last battle means they can shave a couple of stuff. I mean, to me, it matters more in the last battle. So I am okay with them making that choice strategically. If they do it for a reason, if they do it because they think this is too soon to bring that into play, they think that just feels too much like we're obviously going to win this fight at Falma, which, yeah, as soon as they show up, I'm okay with that. As long as we get an epic Horn of Valyr moment in the last battle where Oliver's like, I'm not supposed to be the one to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I am okay with us not getting that until the very end. I actually think that spells higher stakes. I think it's more interesting. I think that there's really no, you were going to hate me for this. There's really no reason for it to be Matt. Rand is literally right next to him when he blows the Horn of Valyr. Like right there. He's right next to him. And Rand's just like, go ahead.
But
and
Matt doesn't know who Rand is.
But by the way,
they know. They know at that point.
Dean said cut the Innkeeper from Towers of Midnight. That was hurtful. That was very hurtful.
Real.
That was hurtful, man.
I just reread that. No.
No.
That is so hurtful. That was brutal.
How dare you?
That's where we all make our cameo appearance, everybody. Everybody at the end, everybody in chat is there. That's us. They may have other actors there, but that's us.
Okay, here we go. Okay, you said your piece here. Change it or cut it or keep it. Natalia, are you going to change the scene, cut it, or keep it?
I'm cutting the horn.
Wow. Okay, Todd, are you a change the scene, cut it, or keep it?
My internet chopped a little bit. So what
are you a change the horn scene, cut it, or keep it?
I'm a full on cut because that's what I'm a cut.
Okay, you're a keep. I'm gonna say this because I want to make this interesting. I want to give Recappa all the power here. I'm a keep. So Recappa, it is on your shoulders. I don't want to put any pressure on you. Are you want to change the scene? Or you want to keep it or cut it?
I'm honored. Honestly, this is a lot like stuff that I mean, look. They've got to cut this story down. Lots of us don't want to admit that to ourselves, but they have to cut things. So, we do not need the Heroes of the Horn to show up at Falma and automatically win the fight. That is what happens. The second they show up, you know who wins. There is no debate in question. It kind of feels the same way in the last battle, to be honest, so we really should wait for the last battle. And as far as Matt taking over instead of Rand, on a first read, it's like, dude, Rand's right there. They have to follow his banner. Why are you blowing the horn? That's how I feel. I'm like, Arthur Hawkwing says, I cannot move until Rand's banner is raised. So it is kind of like, why does Matt blow it? And Oliver's bit in the end, Matt doesn't have to have blown the horn for Oliver to have that moment of, you know what, I'm holding the horn, I need help, and I'm going to blow it right now.
So
and I also...
So quickly. By the way, chat is going wild. They're now threatening downvotes on the video if we cut the scene.
Pray No, I'm
This
just
is
kidding.
my
Don't do
this
that
is my
shit.
favorite. Okay, so would you? It sounds like, are you an alter the scene, or you get rid of it altogether, Recappa, or you a keep? Alter.
Sorry, I'm living for this chat right now.
You only have to say the only question you have to answer right now, and chat's gonna go wild. Is alter it, keep it, or cut it?
When you say alter it, you mean alter someone blowing the
Well,
horn
alter-
of the
just
lyre
alter
and
how
the,
they-
the heroes of the horn showing up.
Alter how they do it, right? Maybe make Rand the person, maybe how they show up, what happens. Alter how that happens, or completely take it out, or keep it.
Okay. I am into stakes. I am into things happening in an epic way. So I'm going to say we don't need it in the second book. Take it out. Let's save it.
Oh my
end.
gosh.
Let the shadow take it. Let us be freaked out. When they do that stuff with the seals of, oh, the seals have been stolen. No. Let the horn of Valyr get stolen. Let's not pull a Harry Potter. Let's not have this thing wait until the end to become important. Let's actually have it be a thing that the shadow has, and it's a nightmare that they have it. I'm cool with that.
By the way, that's
Interesting.
just watching chat is probably, it's worth going back. Dean's like so many unsubs for
Natalia is
tonight.
so disappointed in me right now. We have
I'm dying.
you have been on my page, and I feel like you are just like, I'm done with her. I do not know
No,
her.
I'm
No, you
Why
guys
is she
agree. That's
even
what's
here?
funny. That's what's funny is you
Sorry.
guys
So
agree.
we'll let Natalia go. I apologize. We left our callers waiting
At
for
this
that
point,
answer.
It's fine. I'm
Let's
here.
bring the call being Nakomi. The final decision was made by Recappa. Welcome to the call. Call me Nakomi. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well up until about like 20 minutes ago, until you guys have my blood pressure all the way through the
Thank
roof
you.
right now. First of all, let me start off by saying, Recappa, I loved you until you started back with your retort there. I was saying that to myself, like, you know what? If I met her in the White Tower, I would totally be her pillow friend. But you know what? Now I'm just like, Recappa, I have to leave you. I have to leave you at the wayside. Matt, I'm gonna have to put a dragon's fang on our Dusty Wheel.
Oh man, this
Plain
is way
and
too
simple.
much
Love
fun.
this.
I'm sorry. You can't. If they cut the horn, Matt blowing a horn, I would have to basically just grab my purse and just walk out the room. I would completely just it ties into so much to me personally. I mean, I know
Sure.
it's just like, okay, we could be, get the payoff later on or whatever. But at the same time, I'm just like, yes, we still have Rand's fight with the Shamiel, basically, but at the same time, it basically shoots up the supernatural factor like to 1,000, where it's just like, oh my God, the magic's real. Where they basically, Matt blows the horn, and then basically they would have lost. So basically, if Recappa, if Matt didn't blow the horn, basically they would have lost. A little bit of Taviran to me thinking that, they decided to say, you know what, let me just basically blow the horn. What do we have to lose? But personally, I think that basically introducing the supernatural at an early time, I think it basically just shoots up the whole you never know what's going to happen factor. That's basically how I was when I first read it. I didn't even think that Matt was going to actually blow the horn. I think that after who knows how many 15 rereads or whatever, I've gotten a little jaded. I could definitely say that. And I'm just like, well, could they actually lose the horn? And I'm just like, no, for someone who's just reading this book, him blowing the horn was just like, oh my God, he just blew the horn. What's going to happen next? You never knew what would happen next. I'm sorry?
I'm agreeing with you. Sorry, I got real excited. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just thinking to myself, as a brand new reader, a brand new viewer, basically, that's going to be like, oh my goodness, what happens next? They were ridiculously outnumbered. So there's nothing they could have did to basically win. Thank goodness the side of the shadow or the Sunshine didn't get the horn back. Basically, also, I'm thinking to myself that, yes, the last battle, it would be great to have the horn at the last battle, and that'd be the first time it's blown. But at the same time, even kind of at the last battle, the Heroes of the Horn saved some people that were important, but even the Heroes of the Horn's presence didn't completely win the last battle. There was a lot of other things that Matt did that basically helped them to win the last battle. And even the Heroes of the Horn said that we could be defeated, you know. So, you know, it's great to have that payoff before. Also, it's great to have that payoff at the end where Oliver is actually able to blow the horn. I wasn't completely sure if it was even going to work until he was able to actually blow the horn.
Yeah,
that kind of suspense was great.
Spoilers.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I was just trying to Y'all can have it. Sorry.
Fabulous.
See, here's my thinking on this: is the only thing that the horn does right now is announce that Rand to the world that Rand is the dragon. And I don't think that that's reason enough to keep it. I think that
actually him fighting a Samael in the sky was more so the symbol, the sign that he was the dragon. That's how I took it.
But the heroes, but Hawkwind says calls him Lews Therin and says, you know, he talks about he basically calls him the dragon. He calls him out. And I think,
no, he's important. Rand is obviously important, and he knows them from before. I just feel that basically it never really tied the horn to the dragon. It just basically said that the horn was supposed to be at the last battle. So that didn't exactly say why or who was supposed to blow it, which it made Matt even more important with the fact that he was the one who blew the horn. So it attached him and made him important to the tower at least.
But they barely even slowed the Shanshan down because they had the fight, and then the Shanshan just kept right on rocking and rolling. It barely slowed them down. By the way,
what's really clear is we need to do like an episode about this particular part. I want to ask: did Call Me Nakomi change your mind, or are you still?
She might have. Okay, so basically, I hate every verbal interaction between the heroes and our friends. I don't want any of it. I don't want to see any of them. I super don't want to see Arthur Hawkwing. I don't want to see a battle in the sky. I think we need a whole episode, Matt. Like, I'm really okay, blow the horn. Okay, it's good for Matt's character, but I don't want to see any of these silly shenanigans.
So you were an alter. You're changing your vote to an alter?
I might be.
By the way, Call Me Nakomi, thank you very much for calling in. Sorry.
Thank you, guys. I'm so sorry. I was a little triggered there.
No, it's good. It's good.
I love you. I love our regular panel. I love your show, basically, but I was just like, oh my goodness, no. I started writing bullet points. I was just like, no, that cannot happen. Anyway,
yeah, no, it's awesome.
Have a good night, guys. I love you.
You too. Love you. Bye.
Can I speak for a second?
Yeah, go for it, Recappa. Yeah.
Just because, first of all, your name is like my favorite thing on the internet. Who are you? I love you. Second, I agree with everything you were saying. And what I am saying is not we should cut Matt blowing the horn of Valir. I get it. I'm with all of you in the fact that, like, it's a pleasant surprise. We all expect it to be Rand, I think, and it's a fun surprise for me. I'm talking about it in the context of the last battle, where I think certain things are surprises in the last battle that might be different if it didn't go down in Falma. But I'm not saying I don't love Matt blowing the horn of Valir, and I actually. It's fun because you expect it so much to be Rand, and it really is a fun moment. And I am not saying I don't love that moment. Anyway, I hear everything she's saying, and also she's Nakomi, which is just amazing. I'm obsessed with Nakomi, and I appreciate what she has to say. I agree. I didn't mean to set anyone off with what I was saying, but I would understand if they made an effort to tie the Horn of Valir more to Rand. But it's not because I want that to be the case. I just think narratively that could streamline some subplots.
Okay, so we have one more caller, and then we have to call it for tonight. I think this whole discussion of the Horn of Valir. You're welcome.
We can keep going for hours.
For me setting this one off.
I know your bottle is empty, Recappa, but mine isn't.
Girl, okay, I'm jealous. I'm not going to call Tivana because she never does anything right.
Let's bring our last caller in. Here we go.
That one.
Josh, welcome to the Dusty Wheel tonight. How you doing? Thank you for waiting. Also,
I'm doing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I waited for a while, but it's worth it. You know.
So what were your thoughts? What comment did you want to make? You're closing us out for
Well,
tonight.
first of all, it's clear that Recappa needs more wine because she's not thinking clearly enough. That is first and foremost. What I'm thinking is you're taking, and this we got to think of this. This is an adaptation of a book to a TV show, and you're taking the climax of one book, and then you're significantly altering it to say like, oh no, he's not going to blow the horn anymore. I think that almost is like you're looking too far in the future. I mean, I love that this is happening, and I want it to go to the finish line. But let's just say it peters out or whatever. Him not blowing it is kind of it's a bad thing that happens. It's a huge thing in the book. It's the climax. It's the twist in the plot that gets you like kind of hooked, and you're like, I need to read the next one. I need to do this. So getting rid of that is like for a TV show is kind of a big step, I think. And I think we're like diminishing it as book readers. We're like, yeah, we could do without it because we know what happens in the future. But if you're just a TV viewer looking at this and there's just a climax and that's no longer there, then it might not be as impactful to you.
But conversely, Josh, do you not feel it takes away the tension? Like, don't you feel like once the heroes show up, like it's a foregone conclusion that we win?
No, because it's such a big twist that they didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, I guess you could alter it in a way that it doesn't happen until they're pretty much about to lose, and it's kind of like the comeback experience where Matt's like, screw it, I'm going to do it, you know? So I guess you could say it's an altering of that scene, but I think it still has to happen as far as like, if you're going to have the climax of something and you're going to change it, it shouldn't be taking apart one of the biggest twists in the story.
Okay, so I want to throw this out to everybody. You've now heard from our last three callers, last four at this point. Is there anyone that wants to change their vote before we call this show? Is there anyone that's going to alter versus completely cut before?
I'm gonna say alter because I want that
upvote. You're changing for votes. You're a politician here.
Smart. She gets that.
Hey, Josh, thank you so much for calling in, and I appreciate that commentary. I agree. Like I said, I posed the idea, not because I'm sold on it, but because I think it's a question that has to be asked. And clearly, the fans do not want that scene touched too much. And that is absolutely 100% clear. Although, and I anticipate talking about it afterwards in Discord for those of you that stick around. Hey, Josh, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh.
Not a problem. I'm so glad you brought it up. It was an amazing time in the chat and everything. So
it was. Hey, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
So, by the way, thank you for everyone that called. I really do appreciate those in chat. If you downvoted this video, that's your prerogative. This is part of the fun of doing live adaptations, is actually asking these questions. This actually hit harder than when we cut Loyal just for one episode and we brought him back. He's still back in our adaptation. I saw all of your comments were like, Rafe, don't listen to these people. That was hilarious. Trust me, if Rafe watched this, he'd probably watch the chat and realize 99% of you were like, yeah, this is stupid. But I do think it's a question that has to be asked, and I think there are some alterations that certainly could be made to that scene to make it actually more impactful, even better. Todd, what did you say?
I wrote it in pen and I can't erase it. So
okay, so that is the show. That is the show this evening.
Before we can end, Matt, at the very end of very end of the book, so spoilers, Moraine shows up again and basically explains everything, and it's this kind of almost Greek level end of the play. Catharsis going on, and Rand has to make his choice, and it ends with Rand making his choice, and it's first of all, Moraine is badass always. I love it, and then we have the smash to black of Rand's choice. We gotta have that.
Yes.
And I want it with I want music. I don't want verbal anything. I just want like a sweeping
Oh, that would be
overhead
awesome.
panorama shot of all of the soldiers kneeling to Rand around the fire.
Smoke in the air and
Swelling music.
oh,
By the way,
need a
Recappa, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Really appreciated
This has
your.
been a delight. You've been so much fun. I loved. I lived for
Please
this.
come back.
Oh yeah, please do.
I live for this. Also, like everyone who wanted it, like I even call me Nakomi. I'm obsessed with Nakomi, so like I'm just obsessed with her. So I was just like, talk, please. I want to hear. But no, like I actually really. I hear everything that's been said today. It's been a lot of fun. Like it's really got me thinking. And
I'm sure you're gonna have to put out an episode all about the Horn of Valir.
I mean, can I say one thing that I hope they change for the show?
You can say one thing. Yeah, go for it.
And I'm gonna say this. I have not looked at the chat.
Is it a
We'll
spoiler
probably
or
all
anything, or is it
forgot.
is it within the first couple books, or is it a big spoiler? Do we need to put
It's
up a
the
banner?
first two books.
Okay, go for it.
The end of the Great Hunt. So I think you could explain away. Well, no. All right, I'll keep it to the Great Hunt. I think the end of the Great Hunt, the way Rand appears in the sky, and the way he's suddenly in the sky, and he can see people below him, and he can see the fight above him, and at the same time he's fighting the fight that's above him. When you're doing a TV show, I think the end of the Eye of the World and the end of the Great Hunt are good opportunities to make that story a little more linear. I would love to see Rand just fight Ishamael. I think that'd be cool. I would love to see them just have a fight instead of vanishing and appearing in the sky and not knowing what's happening. I would love to see them have a real fight. And dream charts and stuff can explain away what goes on later. But in this particular book, it's hard to explain away. And I hope the end, I would like to see a little, I hope they make some changes. I think that they could make it a little bit more linear. And I particularly at the end of this second book, I think there are some changes that for a show they could make that would help it be a little more linear. Not to say I even want to like cut moments, but I just think there are changes they could make that would make it, and you know, if everyone wasn't literally seeing Rand and Baalsman fighting in the clouds, it would be a little easier to explain what's going on.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's a good point to end it on. And everyone in chat saying this, don't cut the horn, but you can cut the fight in the sky. And I'm going to make this one point that I thought was really interesting when I read through it. Something I noticed, Rand runs into Ishamael or Baalsman in this, and Baalsman, it says, waves his arms, and Rand falls off of his horse, which I think is the funniest thing that I'd never read before, which is Ishamael like gets in the way of his horse and Rand flies off of his horse. I agree with you that that'd be nice if he landed on the ground and they actually just had a fight instead of jumping into the sky. So it's a fantastic description. Again, Recappa, thank you so much for being with us. Hopefully you have gone and followed Recappa's page, Wheel Talk. If you haven't, go follow the show. It's fantastically funny. And I really appreciate all of the comments. If you're still watching on Twitter and Facebook, you're amazing. But I hope you'll come over, like the video, regardless if you think my idea was nuts, and subscribe, and be back here next Watt Wednesday when we actually talk real adaptations and what real professionals, unlike ourselves, have to choose when they adapt a book to this medium. So that was it, everyone. Again, thank you for everyone that called in. Loved the show tonight. It was insane. And as we say from the Dusty Wheel, good night and smash to black.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.